Kindergarten Daf Mesechta Kesuvos Daf begin on the bottom line of Lamed Vav and Beis, but Gemara is in the middle of a discussion regarding the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. We had different women that we mentioned in the Mishnah, in contrast to the opening Mishnah of this parak, regarding these certain women, although they're possible, they have a knas, if let's say they were nenas or mafuta, if they were seduced or violated, we said in the Mishnah those women that are not going to have a knas. One of them was, if she's a shvuya, if she was a captive woman, we could presume that she was already lost her basulim already with the captors, and therefore she's not going to get a knas subsequently if she was violated by a different Jewish man. Yehuda says no, shvuya she remains with her kedusha. So one of the interpretations of the Gemara, as Tais have explained already, is Rabbi Yochanan, that was explaining that very simply, we don't suspect that she was violated by the captors. And that our Gemara was asking on these different halachas, is that really true? That according to Yehuda, she means with her kedusha, and that's our Gemara continues in that theme of questioning. It seems to be that Yehuda does not consider her as if we could presume that she was not violated by the captive. Is this classic concept that we're talking about, which is that you only get the greater one of the two. That you're not going to get both punishments, just the worst one of both. The Gemara discusses why we need two psukim for the din of Kam L'Rabbaneh, where there's two different opinions of either one pasuk is teaching you Misa and Mammon, or Malchus and Mammon, that you only get the death or the Malchus, not the monetary payment, or one for Misa and Mammon, and one is actually for Misa and Malchus. So you can get Misa and not the lower Malchus. Additionally, why do we need two psukim with the din that we don't take money from Ritzech in exchange for his punishment? One's talking about when he kills B'mezid, that he doesn't get executed, and that he can't redeem his way out. And one is regarding when he kills by mistake, when he goes into exile, he also cannot pay his way out of that. After Echkamaycha is the famous pasuk that the Gemara brings, even actually when you're coming to execute a murderer, actually barley misa yafa, kill him in a way that it would be in the most humane way, and not in the way that would be extra cruel. So begin the current daf. This is the bottom line of Lamed Vav and Beis. As we said, we're in the middle of discussing Yehuda's opinion. According to Rabbi Yochanan explains it. So Dami laid up Papa Bar Shmuel of Yisrael. It's a good time of Lamed Zayin Med Aleph. Is that really so? The son of Yehuda holds, as we mentioned in the Mishnah, where Rabbi Yochanan explained that the captive woman, the one that was taken by these non-Jews, and they held her for ransom until she was redeemed. Are you really telling me she remains with her sanctity, that we don't suspect, like the Gemara said, Ma asla arvi halazeh, what? What did he do? He just fooled around with her? You think he did anything to her? He didn't do anything to her. Is that really so? But it seems to be a contradiction from Yehuda's own opinion. The Britannia Linda Bryce says follows. Hagiyotish in this guy. Regarding a woman, she comes to Jerusalem on a tour with all the Christian churches. She comes, she gets inspired, she says she's becoming a convert. Okay. But also dam. The day that she converts, she goes to the Bezdin and go to the mikveh, and that day she sees dam, meaning she has her period. So what's the halacha? Yuda he says, daya shaita. He says the moment is sufficient. What does that mean? There is a rabbinic decree that a woman who finds dam, that we consider a tamei me'es le'es, that whatever tahara she had touched from when she tavels, from the last time she tabled till the time that she had a discharge, we're going to say that all that is going to be tamei. Here, we're not going to make the gzeira of me'es le'es to say that, whatever this woman touched from last we know, when we find the dam, we're not going to say that's going to be tamei. Why? Because even if this dam had come out yesterday, why do we say that, let's say if a woman has a period, that we say, last 24 hours, maybe you already need that, and we have to be mitame, because there's two halachas for nida. We always think in the ways of the issa. The Gemara generally discussed the one of the tumah, where in Talmudic times it was halachas of tumah. So we say that, yes, maybe what happened is that the blood, when it comes out of the uterus, it remains in the vagina, in the walls of the Kesuvos Daf. That's generally why by a Jewish girl, we say for the last 24 hours it's going to be tamei. But the dam of a Canaanist, this woman wasn't Jewish. Her dam is like dam of a behema. It's not going to have any tumah. Now you're going to say, wait a second, let's be concerned that maybe from when she tabled, she went to the mikveh, she became Jewish at 3 o'clock, at 11 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, boom, she gets her period. Says, maybe at 12 o'clock, she really got the discharge, and it happened right away. So why are we not concerned that it was when she was Jewish? So, and that Rashi explains, the whole halacha of tumah l'mafreya, of retroactive tumah, is only rabbinic concern. Where you can make the gezerah for the entire 24-hour period, which was the way they were masakin it, then we're going to make the gezerah what's called a pekid l'pekid, from the last time that you checked to the time that you're checking now. But if you cannot make the full-fledged gezerah me'es la'es because she was not Jewish at that time, so therefore we're not making the gezerah even pekid l'pekid. This is for Rabbi Yehuda says, dayashaita, this is not the main point of what we're bringing it in for. But this is the first part of the brisa. Says, okay, now that you see it, now you can consider it tamei. You're not going to consider retroactively that she's tamei. Fine. Rabbi Yisrael says no. This convert is the same as all women. And yes, her dam, whatever she touched in the previous 24 hours, is going to be tamei. The last time that she checked that she knows the finland with the Yishuv tar, until that point, everything is going to be suspect that we're going to consider that as dazal as tamei. Fine. That's one machlek. The next machlek is this the main point that the Gemara is bringing it in for. This woman who converted, she can't get married right now. She has to wait 3 months to get married. Why? Because there's a concept called havchana. Havchana is we have to differentiate. We want to know is this child considered nizra b'kedusha? Was he sired in holiness? Meaning, was he a child born to her after she became Jewish? Or was it before? Now, you need a period of 3 months to realize if she's pregnant or not. After 3 months, you can tell if she's pregnant. So, therefore, we have to wait 3 months. Rabbi Yehuda, why? Essentially, what Yehuda is saying is, we suspect that this woman who converted had bia, and because of that, we have to differentiate and show that, okay, you got to wait 3 months because we got to see, are you pregnant from a day ago when you had your last hara as a non-Jewish woman? We have to know if you're pregnant or not. They have to wait 3 months. No, Rabbi Yisrael meant the woman to get engaged, get married right away. She converts on Wednesday, Thursday night. She's already having her chasna in Meishar. You can go ahead and do that, no problem. The Gemara is going to explain later on what's the reason for that. But al kapana, we have a contradiction. You're telling me the captive woman, we don't suspect that anything happened to her. And when she's redeemed from captivity, which we have this category of a Giyur, Shvuya, Shivcha, we have these women in the same category. And Rabbi Yehuda says, no, that we're not concerned that the woman had any forbidden relations. And yet by the Giyur, you are concerned, which there's a lot of questions on the Gemara's question already. Taisa says, what do you mean? Rabbi Yehuda doesn't disagree with the case of Giyur in the Mishnah. He only disagrees with the case of Shvuya, but the Gemara has a different answer. Amalei said, the Gemara says, what, Giyur is Shvuya Kuramas? You're asking a contradiction regarding the case of a convert woman to a woman in captivity? You're trying to tell me that, yeah, we don't suspect a woman that when she's coming into the Jewish people back again, whether it be back again or for the first time as a Geiris or Shvuya, no, you tell me the whole B'Kedushas again. You see, he says by Geiris that we are concerned. So the Gemara says, what shaykhs? So why are you asking one case and the other? Geiris limit to the nafsha. The woman converts. She doesn't protect herself. This is what she wants to be doing. Shvuyim into the nafsha, a regular Jewish woman who's taking captivity, she protects herself. So she's going to remain b'kedushasa, a non-Jewish woman. Why is she? They have this free love concept, and then she becomes Jewish. So there, it's like, okay, you become a Jewish. I don't know what you did 2 days ago to a week ago. You got to wait 3 months as Yehuda. But the shvuyim is protecting herself. She's going to remain in her state of kedusha. So what's the kasha? So the Gemara says, you're right, it's not a kasha. But we could ask a contradiction of the case of captive woman on captive woman. Because it's telling a different brisa. The brisa says as follows. Hagiyedis, the woman who converts, v'hashvuya, and this is the case that we want for. The captive woman. V'hashivcha, and the maidservant, where these are the categories we have in this Mishnah and the previous Mishnah. It just always depends if it was younger than 3 and older than 3. But sheniftu, that they were redeemed, v'sheneskari, where they converted, v'sheneshtar, where they were freed. More than 3 years old. So in our Mishnah we spoke about that she's not going to subsequently get a knas. Why not? Because that someone had relations with her. Whereas if Yehuda hold, no, by Shvuya, she's b'kedushas, she will get a knas. What do we see in this brisa? Tzrichis lahamtum gimel chadoshim d'Rabbi Yehuda. Yehuda says that the woman has to wait 3 months. Now Rashi points out, although if she's over 3, she's 5 years old, a katana cannot become pregnant. You're right. Rashi says the gezer katana to gedayla. It's a decree. Tries to discuss if we have that girsa of Lamala Begimel. But point is, obviously, a 5-year-old, you don't have to wait, bats him, because she's not pregnant anyway, but we don't want to differentiate between an adult and a minor. Al Kapanim, you have to wait 3 months. Reason permits you to get engaged and get married right away. So wait a second, you have a contradiction in the case of Shvuya. You told me, yes, the previous price is only talking about Geiris, you can't ask from that. But this price, it says, besides Geiris, the Shvuya. The Shvuya what? The captive woman, when she comes back, when she's redeemed, you have to wait 3 months. Oh, we have to know. I don't know what's the paternity of this child. Who fathered this child? What do you mean? Why have to wait 3 months? Or you think you're concerned that maybe a man had done something to her? What do you mean? The Mishnah says, because she's even getting a knas. If a man rapes her later on, she's getting a knas. What does that mean? So the Gemara says ishtik. So Rabbi Yosef was silent. He didn't have an answer. It's good contradiction, good steer. So Amalei, so afterwards he said to him, Midish Melech Ba, did you hear anything about how to answer this? So Amalei says, yes, Hachem Rav Sheshes, this is what Rav Sheshes said. That, because this is a question that Papa Bashmul is asking Rabbi Yosef. Papa Bashmul said, yes, Rav Sheshes said, Shre'ush Nivala. You know why they have to wait over here by the case of Shre'ush? They saw her having Bia. So we don't know if they got not every time you be there you get pregnant. So that's why you have to wait 3 months. But in our Mishnah, we weren't ruined there, but we said we can do Shasakan. So the Gemara says, wait a second. It says Rabbi Yosef, if that's the case, they were talking about that we saw the captor violating that woman, my temple Rabbi Yosef. Then why is Rabbi Yosef saying in this rice that we just quoted that you don't have to wait 3 months? She's allowed to get engaged and get married right away to a Jewish man. Oh, Baruch Hashem, Chazde Hashem Kedesanu, she was redeemed from captivity, 137 days in captivity, she was redeemed, and 2 days later she gets married to this chassan. Well, how can you get married? We saw having you have to be Mavchim in Zer, the Kedush Zer, the Apostle. How can Rabbi Yosef permit you to get married right away? So Rabbi says, no, Ksav Rabbi Yosef, Gemara gets into an interesting conversation now. Rabbi Yosef holds, Isha Nazana, a woman who has an illicit relationship, Mishameshes b'moich. She uses a moich. The way Rashi explains it is that she puts in like a piece of cotton after the bia, which draws out the semen, shalita sabbath, she should not become pregnant. So therefore, all those women that we mentioned in the Brisa, even if we saw that there was bia, that's how we could understand Rabbi Yehuda. So how do we say you don't have to wait? No problem. She uses something that could absorb the semen and she's not going to become pregnant. So you don't have to wait. So the Gemara says, wait a second, let's go through all the cases to see if this makes sense. Bishlam Megiyar, I understand a woman who converts. Again, 2 nights ago, we saw her having bia with someone. You tell me she doesn't have to wait. Oh, I'll tell you what, given the Daita Ligiyura, since she intends to convert, Mimtila Nafsha, she's protecting herself. And therefore she has in her pocketbook a moich. She has that piece of cotton, which is evidence to show she's going to go out and have fun that night. She's going to have a way of taking care and make sure she doesn't become pregnant. She's not becoming Jewish, she's not becoming Jewish with a big belly. Okay, Shvui Nami, understand this regarding a captive woman. She doesn't know where they're taking her. Meaning, they're coming to sell her, she thinks maybe that they're going to take her to Jews and they're going to redeem her, so she's protecting herself to utilize also some type of protection to make sure that she does not become pregnant. And Shifchanami, I understand the maidservant too, because the Shaman in Pimatra, she hears from a master that's saying, oh, Shirley's doing such a great job, we're going to free her, and she's going to become a Jewess, because when the Shifcha is freed, she becomes Jewish. So it makes sense, all those women that they have some type of protection on them, that even if they're having bia, we saw that they had bia, no problem, she's going to use some way of precluding conception. But the problem is, a shifcha has 2 ways that she goes free. One is the master just frees her. Another one is he gets so upset and he knocks her in the mouth and her teeth come flying out, or her eye gets blinded. That's called yetz b'shen ba'ayin, where if the maidservant is blinded by her master or she goes out free. So by comment, what are you going to say over there? Where should this surely have known 2 days ago, when she's having fun, that she's going out free, that she should protect herself, to have a moich to preclude conception? She has no clue that this is happening. So if you saw Re'usha Nibala, so why are you saying Mutala Arz Vil Nasamiyah? Why is she allowed to get married right away? She becomes Jewish, and there's Jewish neighbors like, oh, I always had an eye out for that maidservant, and now she's a Jewish woman. Let's get married, Yalla. What do you mean Yalla? I mean, a week ago she was having beer with Bob and then Tony and whatever this and that, and she's not using no mic because she doesn't know she's going free. All the other cases make sense that she knows. You're from a master, but here she's got her both got upset and knocked her in the mouth, and then she's going out free. So how can you let her be mutlos manosmiyat? We're going to say you're right. Kol memela, anything that's by default that she couldn't have known about to be careful originally that she's going out free. Rabbi Yossi would agree that Rabbi Yossi wouldn't say that she can get married right away. No, he would agree to Rabbi Yehuda that she has to wait 3 months, but you can't say that because a woman who's raped or seduced, which that's the memela. In other words, she had no clue this is going to happen. That she should have some type of a condom ready that if this guy's going to rape her, she has no clue. And yet, B'tanya learned in the Brisa, the same machlekes. Anusim for the woman who was raped or seduced, says, like he said in the previous halacha, she's got to wait 3 months. We don't know what happened. She might have become pregnant. Rabbi Yossi permits her to get engaged and get married right away. What in the world? How can she get married right away? She was violated by this guy. And 2 days before Hachasna, now she's getting married? How can you get married? You have to be mafchim b'zeh l'kedusha. You can't say terutzim you set up until now. Oh, she prepares a mic. She's not prepared for this. It's the most traumatic thing in the world. She has no clue this is happening. So Rabbi says a different approach. It's not that she's ready in her pocketbook with this mic, this piece of cotton. Rather, Rabbi Yossi holds isha mezana, when a woman has a illicit relationship, mishapeches. She inverts herself that the seed should spill out and should not conceive. That you could do even something that happens by default, if someone is traumatized by a certain situation, by Oinz Mafata, she doesn't need a mic. Every woman could do it. Kadesh like this that she should not become pregnant, and therefore Rabbi says she can get married right away, because she's going to invert herself. So what does Rabbi do? Why does Rabbi make a 3-month wait? Which woman is going to want to go ahead when she's violated by this man who she's testifying in court against that she's not going to invert herself by the genital area to make sure that it comes out? Why does he say you have to wait 3 months? He's concerned maybe she didn't do a good job about preventing conception, and therefore he says you have to wait 3 months. Now the Gemara continues with the halacha of the Mishnah. We said that there are certain women that haba bitoy, abas bitoy, abas benoy, those that there's a chiv misas bezdin. Someone takes his daughter and he violates her. We said there's no knas. Why no knas? We'll tell you to discuss it b'chlal. Doesn't the knas go to the father? But be that as it may, he doesn't have to pay the knas. Why? Because you're not meis mashal. He's getting executed. This is incest with his daughter. He's going to get executed. You don't get killed and pay a monetary payment. In this case, the knas. Shenema, as the Gemara quotes in the Mishnah, it says in the pasuk, "V'loya asen." If a man's fighting with his friend, he knocks a pregnant woman. If there's no unfortunate death, then he has to pay for the monetary value of the miscarriage of the children that were aborted. But it sounds like if there was a asen, if there was an unfortunate death, then he wouldn't have to pay because he would get executed, and that's mace, and you wouldn't be machal. So now the Gemara says, this halacha of not being killed and to pay, this is what you learn out the halacha of Kimun Ramaneh? We learn from a pasuk in Devarim. It says in the pasuk that if a person can be a wicked person, the judges are going to go ahead and hit him kidei d'shasa, the amount of his wickedness, which mishum risha achas at mechayim, because of one wickedness that you're going to go ahead and hold him liable. He's not going to hold him liable for 2 wickednesses. So if that's the case, so why do you need the pasuk of lo yeh asin anash? Should we know it from kedei d'shasai this halacha? So the Gemara says you're right. You need 2 different halachas. Chada, one of the psukim is teaching the pasuk of asin is b'miso mammon. It's regarding being executed and a monetary payment. The Chada, the pasuk of kedei d'shasai is b'malkus mammon. It's talking about getting lashes and monetary payment. You're only going to get kedei d'shasai by bam yakenu, and you're not going to pay the monetary payment. So you need both of them. Why you need both of them? You already know the concept coming around. I have to tell you every rachel bitcha after every case. Yes, because the Yashmin and Misamah had only told you the pasuk of asin about you don't get killed and pay even the shama, because that's a pretty severe punishment. You're going to get killed, so that should be enough. If you're going to punish him to lose a life, then you don't have to pay the monetary payment. But when there's lashes of money, to make even the shama, there's no loss of life. Emaloi, I would say no. That's not enough of a punishment, and you get both. You get lashes and monetary payment. So I have to tell you also malchus amam. If the malchus amam had only told you the case of lashes and money, that's killing rabbanei, I would say, hey, yeah, because you didn't do such a severe aveira, and it's enough if we give you one punishment, that of only malchus. Because obviously, if it was that severe, you get a bigger punishment. You're only getting lashes. You didn't do such a great survivor. So we'll give you only malchus. But when someone's getting a punishment of execution and the monetary payment, where obviously the chamesuri, you did something very, very bad, and that's why you're getting killed. Emalai would say no, you don't get scut off with one and not two. And therefore, you have to say both of them, that misa and mammon, and malchus and mammon, by both of them, categorically, you're only going to get the more severe one, not the monetary payment. But the problem is, this only works according to the Rabban. Remain that he holds that you actually do get lashes and pay, as we quoted him on Daf Yomi Gimel Beis. So Tati Lamali, we're back to the question. Why do you need two psukim? Don't tell me one's misa and mammon and one's malchus and mammon, that you only get the malchus not the mammon, because you may hold no, you actually do pay for the malchus and the mammon. So why do you need another pasuk to give Kimel Rabbaneh? So the Gemara says he needs it for a different way. The one pasuk is teaching you the misa mammon, that's the pasuk of asan, that you don't pay for the monetary payment of the miscarriage because you're getting executed. As you continue to base, the pasuk of the Kadei Shasai is b'meisu malchus. It's teaching you actually that when you're liable for death and lashes, you're only going to get the death and not the lashes. But Tzricha, it's necessary to say both. That why? Yashmin on Misa Mammon had we only said the pasuk of Asan regarding death and money, that you don't pay the money. Yeah, you know why? We don't do that. You can get two distinct types of punishments. One in your body, which is death, and one in your money, which has nothing to do. It's in your bank account. That we don't do. Maybe that's what you would know from that pasuk. But Misa Malchus, but death and lashes, they're both in the same arena of your body. Even I would say it's one long death. We give him shmasim, we hit him, we give him 39 lashes, and then we throw him off the cliff. And another bit, never we do it. Because it's not like a separate punishment, it's one long punishment. So I would have thought to say, actually, Misa Malchus you would do. So if you have to say, also Misa Malchus. Misa Malchus, and if I would only tell you that you don't do death and lashes, I would say because they're trying to be good for that. No, we don't do two in the same arena. Because you're already getting one in that arena of death. That could also lashes. A Misa Mammon, but regarding death and money. Where one's in the body, one's in the money. I would say, yeah, okay, those are two different distinct arenas, and you'll get one in each arena. So essentially, what's the svara by one? You could say one with the other. So we have to say both of the two psukim of regarding Misa and Mammon and regarding Misa and Malchus. Now the Gemara continues with many different psukim asking that seem to say the same ideas. And the Gemara is going to have to say, no, it's saying something else because we already know at least two psukim that already tell me Kim L'Rabbaneh, with the Misa and Mammon and Misa Malchus, or Misa Mammon and Malchus and Mammon. But we have many different psukim that sound like the same idea. As the Gemara quotes the pasuk in Midbar. The pasuk says, don't take atonement money for the murderer, which the pasuk continues because he's a wicked person to die, he has to surely die. Now, as Rashi says, the pasuk sounds like that if you're going to kill him, don't take kaifer, don't take a monetary payment. That sounds like a meis mashal. So it says, what do you need it for? It's saying, don't take kaifer or nefesh ritzeh. The guy's going to get executed. Don't take money from him. I already know meis mashal from the pasuk of asim. So what do I need this pasuk for? So the Gemara says, no. The Torah is telling you, it's not going to tell you that you don't do both Misa and Mammon. It's going to tell you something in the liability of the death penalty itself. Don't redeem the death penalty with money. It's not telling you that you don't also take money from the guy who's dying. Don't try to take money in place of death. And they don't take money from him, and to let him off the hook from being executed. That's what the pasuk is going to tell you. So it's not telling you Misa and Mammon. It's telling you don't let money take the place. I mean, the guy's like, look, I'll give $10 million to the FJC. I'll give whatever you said, just don't kill. No, we don't take kaifer. It's not saying both. It's saying it doesn't take the place. Now, there's another pasuk that says that leisikhu kaifer lo musalim miklata. Don't take atonement money from him running away to his city of refuge. Which the assumption of the Gemara right now is, it means don't do both. Someone who killed by mistake, you don't hold him liable for going into exile and for the monetary liability. Says the Gemara, what do you need that for? Do you need a pasuk for Gullus and Mammon? Why do I need a pasuk? I already know Kim Rabbaneh. Says the Gemara, no, the Amar Chon Torah is telling you, like Tishkal Mamayim and don't take money from him. They tifted him in Gullus, like we said regarding the Ritzeach. Here, when he did it by mistake, it's saying the same thing. Don't let him buy his way out of going into exile. You have to go into exile. Says about a trade card lovely. Why do I need two psukim that seem to be saying the same idea? They're both talking about someone who killed. So yeah, one time when he killed by mistake regarding Gullus, one time when he killed deliberately regarding being executed. And the trick, you had to say both of them. Why? So Gemara explains here also why you need both. Yes, I mean amazing. Had we said when someone kills deliberately that he's not allowed to redeem himself, get himself out of this of being executed, I would have thought to say, yes. You of course you can't pay your way out of this. Because you did something pretty severe. You killed premeditated. But someone killed by mistake. Nebuch, the guy was, I don't know if texting is considered shagig, but someone went by mistake, whatever, made a swerve and they killed someone, an old lady that was walking. I would say, okay, maybe it's not true. Maybe he killed by mistake. Maybe he could pay his way out of going to Gullus. So I have to tell you that no, that Gullus you can't pay your way out of it. And had we said the other way around, when you killed by mistake, then you're not allowed to pay your way out of going to Gullus, I would say, yeah, you know why? Shum deleka, because by Gullus, there is no ibud neshama, there's no loss of life. So therefore, we can't let you off the hook with money. Why not? Because why should we let you off the hook? You're not dying. Go into Gullus. I'm amazed they could even neshama, but when someone killed deliberately, where we're putting them on death row, you realize you're going to be killing a person's life. I would say, maybe no. Maybe you could take money from him. I mean, Mekayim Nefesh Achas B'Yisrael, you're going to be, look, the guy's giving $30 million to the Naya Binyan, to whatever this is. It's helping out Klal Yisrael, and we're keeping a Jewish person alive. He's doing tshuva. So Tzricha had to say, no, even when he kills B'Mezid, that he's going to die, no, we're not taking money, you have to be executed. So you have to say both ways regarding killing B'Mezid and killing B'Shogi, but again, it's not talking about Mason Mishalman or regarding Gullus and Mishalman. It's talking about if the money will take the place of the death penalty or of the Gullus. Additionally, we have other psukim also. It says that to the land will not be atoned, to the blood that was spilled on it. You know what's going to atone for the blood that was spilled on the land? With the blood of the one who spilled it. Meaning, and not with redemption of money. What do you need this for? I already know this from Lisikul Kaifa. We just brought a puzzle before that I could be killed by Shai, you killed by Mezi. We already have psukim that tells you that you can't pay your way out of this. So why do I need this pussy to tell me that the only way I'm going to get an atonement is by spilling the blood of the murderer? I already know that. I know he can't pay his way out of it. Says Gemara, no. By the time you need this to teach something else, as you learned in the Brisa, it's teaching something else. From where do we know? It's a lot of Egla Rufa. Egla Rufa is that if, let's say, they find someone that was killed and forensics come and they can't figure out who killed this guy. So the closest town has to bring a calf and they decapitate it, they chop off its head, and that's the atonement for the closest town from that dead body. Says the Brisa, how do you know if you already decapitated a calf? Then forensic does a great job and they find who's the murderer. So I said, how do we know? We're not going to let that murderer off the hook to say, what do you mean? The blood of this guy who was killed was already atoned when there was a situation of doubt because the calf atones for the doubt. So what are you killing me for? There's already kapara for the blood that was spilled. No, as it says in the Pasuk, the earth will not have an atonement to the blood that was spilled, etc. Only with the blood of the one who spilled it. When we find you, we're going to kill you. That's what that pasuk teaches. We're not teaching anything regarding he can't redeem his way out. It's teaching that even if you had the Egla Ruf already, you still have to execute him. But then we have another pasuk in Devarim. It says, now you have to get rid of the murderer of Hadam Hanoki Mikabecha, that there was innocent blood that was spilled amongst your midst. This pasuk is written after the Arifa of the Egla Rufa. So it says, what is that pasuk necessary for? Of course, you already told me that you have to execute the murderer. That's when that's teaching a different teaching. It's not teaching like the simple understanding, like, oh, you gotta kill him. That I already know. It's teaching that the Brisa says, where do we know those? There's 4 types of Mises Bezin. One of them is what's called cherev, with the sword. That you kill him by beheading the person that killed. How do we know those are killed with the sword? Maybe you stab him in the belly. How do you know that you kill him from the neck? It says in the pasuk, this pasuk after the egla rufa, it says that you should eliminate the one who spilled the innocent blood from your midst. So we're comparing all the spilling of the blood, legla rufa, to the parsha that we had just finished from the decapitated calf, which is teaching. Just like over there by the egla rufa, you chop off the head from the neck. So too, whenever you're spilling blood, when the bezin is using the sayif, the sword, it's going to be menatzaver, it's going to be from the neck. So you must say, wait a second. If you're comparing it to egla rufa, then it should be b'kaifetz with an axe, ubemul oirav, and it has opposite the nape. Meaning, when the egla rufa has those two variables, then avkan, so maybe also over here, by the mis of sayif, should be b'kaifetz with an axe, ubemul oirav, and opposite the nape. Why are you telling me that it's on the neck and it's going to be with a regular sword? So Rav Nachman, Rabbi Abu says yes, but Amakra is a pasuk in Yikra that tells us you're not going to have these variables. Because the pasuk says, "V'ahavto l're'acha kamoicha," you should love your friend as yourself, which teaches baru loy misa yafa, select for him an appropriate death, which is with a sword, and from the side of the simonim, which is by the neck, not from the nape, because in the nape you have the vertebrae that are in the way. It's a more treacherous death. We want him to die fast and swift. So that's how we know that it's not going to be exactly like the egla roof in that way. We know it's going to be from the neck. Now we compare it to, but the other two variables not, because that would be a violation of a hafta l'reacha kamoicha. Then the Gemara has another pasuk, a pasuk in the Yikra. It says kol chedim, which that sounds like a terminology of liability for death. Like we have a pasuk in Shemais Chavbeis, zevech l'lehim, whoever slaughters for idolatry, yacharam, will be killed. So it sounds like from the pasuk kol chedim, any death asher yacharam in the adam, which will be executed from man, lo yifte cannot be redeemed. Not only nacha pasuk, I already told you this many times that you can't pay your way out of the death penalty. What does this pasuk teach? It says here also you needed to teach something else we learned in the Brisa. Brisa says minayim lo yosi lahadik. Where do we know if someone's going out to be executed? Someone says, wow, look at this guy, his life is ending now. And someone says, this guy's erech is on me. Now, there's two types of values you could put on a person if you're giving it to hekdesh. One's called damim, one's called erech. Damim is the monetary value, how much this person is actually worth in the market value. If we took this guy as a slave to sell in the market, how much would we get for him? That's, if you say damim, his monetary value, that's how much you have to give him. We call erech. Erech is an absolute value that the Torah gives according to age and gender, based on those criterion, how much value we have, and that's how much you would have to give to hekdesh. So if someone says erikoi, his erech is on me, which even though he does not have any monetary value right now because he's about to be executed, he has no damim, but here it goes based on years. Even so, how do we know he hasn't said anything? Because essentially you would think he does. Of course, this guy's alive right now. He doesn't have to have monetary value. You would give based on his age and his gender. No. How do you know you don't give anything? Shemek says in the pasuk, "Kol chedim asher yachram min adam." That here Rashi says the word chedim we're actually translating as a terminology of hektish. We know like chedim is one of the ways of chedim lashem. It's a type of hektish. So the way we're translating the pasuk now is any hektish that you're going to be makdish from a person for hektish, lo yifte. Lo yifte means to say that you don't give the pidyon money. You don't give from this guy who's being killed, asher yachram min adam, that's going to be killed. When you make a chayim, when you makdish, when you give the erech, no, you don't give the pidyon gelt. So it's like a little play on both of those words. You would think that even before the verdict was handed down, that when he's by the court case, the same halach would be. No, Talmud says min adam, from man, which is min is always the exclusionary terminology, but they call it not all the man. It's only after the Gemara din, and then you say the erech value, and then you're not going to have to pay anything. But says the Gemara, wait, that interpretation of how to explain this pasuk is only according to one opinion. But that he says, Nerach, actually, when you give an erech value of a person who's about to be executed, you actually do have to give it, and very simple, because his value is set in the Torah according to the years that he is, and it's not comparable to someone who says, Damav, his monetary value is on me, because you're right, he has no monetary value, he's about to be killed, he's not worth anything. But he has an erech. So according to him, that you cannot interpret the pasuk that way. So what does he do with the pasuk? He says he needs it for a different teaching, as we learn in the following brisa. Rabbi Shloimy says, since we find the mamasim b'dei shemayim, those that are executed through heaven. For example, let's say someone who his ox killed someone. The Torah says he has to be killed. Now that's not Mises Bezdin, because the Gemara in Daf Yomi learns, it says Moisumas Hamaka Reitzeachu, that the one who killed someone else, he's a murderer, he has to be executed, which teaches us only if a person's own murder you execute him. You don't execute him for the murder of his ox. So it must be when the Torah says that the owner of the ox is Yumas, means B'dei Shemayim, then he gets killed through heaven because he was negligent that his ox killed someone. Now, since we find for those who get Misa B'dei Shemayim, and they actually could pay their way out of the Misa B'dei Shemayim, where do we find that? It's a pasuk in Shemais. The pasuk says, "Im koizer yushas alav." If atonement money they place on him, and the pasuk there continues, "V'nosin pidyon nafshe," and he gives the redemption of his life. We know the halacha is that when the shiur kills, you actually do pay money. You pay money either from Dmei Mazik, Dmei Nizik, but you pay your way out of it when your ox kills, even though you're Misa B'dei Shemayim. So Yachal Af B'dei Adam Kain, you would think the same thing would apply for Chiv Mrs. Bezdin, that you could redeem yourself with money. Oh, Tamalon, that's supposed to teach us Chedem in Ha'adam. If a person is liable for death from mankind, from Mrs. Bezdin, that's the pasuk teaching Lo Yifta, he cannot redeem himself. So according to Reb Chananya, which you need the pasuk to teach this halacha that you cannot pay your way out. Because yes, you would have thought to say you could pay your way out, like we found by Mitzvah B'dei Shemayim. Now, now I would only know severe deaths, where if you did it by mistake, you get no atonement, because since the pasuk doesn't specify this halacha, that's old deaths, that you cannot pay your way out of it, I would say maybe it's enough if you're going to place this stringency to the pasuk teaching you that lo yifta, that his money cannot save him, even though your money could save you by Misa B'dei Shemayim. I would say that's only by the severe death. Now, what's considered Misas Chamuchas? So Rashi says, Tais discusses, but if, for example, let's say someone makes a wound in his father, or if he kidnaps a Jewish person, there's no atonement written in the Torah if he does it by mistake. Why not? Because when you do it deliberately, you don't get karas. If you do something deliberately karas, if you do it by mistake, then you bring a karmachatas. Here it doesn't say anything about karas, if you do it by mistake, to bring a karmachatas. So that, in a way, is considered a misa chamura, a chatas chamura is considered a severe death penalty because there's no atonement to be done by mistake. But misas kalas, but lighter death sentences, which is really all misas that are written in the Torah of karas, where if you do it deliberately without warning, that shenitna shigras in the kapara. If you do it by mistake, you actually do get atonement, which is a karmachatas. For example, the zava, chil shabbos, adayis, all those are chiv krisis. If you do by mistake, you bring a karmachatas. That's considered a misa kala because at least you get an atonement if you do by mistake. Or Rashi says ritzeach. Ritzeach, if you do by mistake, you also have a kapara that you go into galus. Minan, how would they know that you cannot redeem your way out of those misas too? On that, Tamalim teaches in the pasuk kol chedim. Oh, the word kol is extra to tell you even that of the misa kalas. Anything besides Misa B'dei Shemayim, which that you could pay your way out of, that's what Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg needs a pasuk for. To tell you that those misas that you cannot pay your way out of, that's what Kol Chem is coming to teach. Thank you to any time for those things.